Welcome back. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I want to talk to you about something that comes up for a lot of us, which is why is X person pissing me off so much? Why am I so annoyed? Why do I feel so angry? So, I want to start off by talking about the difference between just kind of not caring for someone, not liking someone, and being triggered by someone. It is really common for us to not like everyone we meet or not like everyone that we work for. We are sort of complicated humans who have our own preferences, and you're going to meet people that you don't care for. So you might have a coworker who you think, thank God I don't have to go home with them at night. You know, I think they're narcissistic or I think they're rude. I don't really care to be around them. Fine. That's a person who you see, you say hello, you move on with your life. Or you're in a meeting and there's someone that kind of annoys you all the time and you think they're rude and they're aggressive and, you wish they'd behave differently. Again, something that happens just in our day-to-day life when we have to interact with a lot of different personalities. The difference between I don't like you and I'm being triggered by you is how annoyed or angry do I become, and does it stick with me? So if you find that your level of frustration and anger is very high, it means the person's triggering you. That if, it's one thing to be in a meeting and find that person annoying and then sort of go on with my life. It's another thing if when I'm in the meeting, I'm like imagining ways that I can, murder them or get them to shut up, or I'm having a complete diatribe in my head of all the 5,462 things I need to say to them right now. If you feel an intensity, like my heart's racing and I'm really getting angry, you're probably being triggered by them. If you find that when you leave that situation, you are still thinking about it, it changes your mood, it impacts your day, you're thinking about it later that night, it means you're being triggered. So there's two really common reasons why we get triggered by people. And I want to talk about both of those to kind of help you figure out if there's someone in your life that's really triggering you, if it might be one of these problems. The two reasons why we tend to get triggered are, one, someone is kind of poking at something in us that we're afraid of. So we have a particular fear, and there's a person who is really agitating that fear. So it's easier if I give you an example. When I decided I'm going to leave academics and leave my secure job and move into speaking and coaching, I had a lot of fear. I was like, not certain this is going to work out. Am I going to end up on the streets? Am I going to be a huge failure? So when I would talk to my mom, and I would talk to her about this career change and this shift, she would frequently ask me a lot of questions and express worry. She would be like, what if you don't get clients? Or, are you going to be able to pay your bills? What about your retirement account? And what would happen is, as she was asking me these questions, I would be getting angrier and angrier. And I would feel like, she wasn't being supportive or she was pushing too hard, and get off the phone and be sort of all worked up about it. What was really going on is I had all of those fears. So when she was asking me these questions, which were out of her own worry, her own concern, her own love for me, I was triggered by that because I was thinking, shit, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I'm going to have enough money. I don't know if I'm going to get enough clients. So she was triggering in me one of my own fears about my own life. Thus, my reaction to her was kind of disproportionate to what was happening. The second reason why we tend to get really triggered by someone is we're tolerating something that we actually don't want to be tolerating. We've really kind of crossed our own boundary for our life. So there might be someone in your life who is constantly coming to you and talking to you about their issues, or asking you to do favors for them, or criticizing you when you're around them. And the truth is, you don't want to talk to them about their issues. Or you maybe don't want to be around them so much anymore. Or maybe you don't want to be doing favors for them anymore. But you find yourself getting sort of sucked in and doing things out of various reasons. So for me, like I used to be a person who liked being really helpful and wanted to talk to people and help people and do things for people. And it was really because my identity was wrapped up in that. I felt like I am worthy because I can help someone. I'm worthy because, you need me to be there for you in some way. But the problem is I would cross my own boundaries. I would get sucked into people's lives and let them sort of take advantage of me, or I would do things I didn't really want to be doing because I felt like it made me a good person, or it meant that I would be good enough, or that they would like me in some way. And the truth is I didn't want to be doing it. So what I'd end up doing is feeling resentful and angry and really triggered by that person. Maybe I'm mad because they're not taking my advice, or I'm mad because they keep talking to me about the same thing, or whatever it is. I was violating my own boundary. I was allowing someone else into my life, into my world, to behave in a way that I actually did not want them to behave, or I didn't want to be around them, or I didn't want to be answering these questions, or I didn't want to be doing these things. So the two ways that you can deal with this triggering is, one, if you notice this is my own fear, go into that. So take some time to reflect. Am I being triggered because they're triggering something in me that I'm afraid of? Someone keeps asking me about my relationship, or someone keeps asking me about my dating life, and I'm really just afraid I'm not going to meet the right person, or I'm not going to be happy for the rest of my life. And so I'm feeling triggered by this person who's asking. Just understanding that it's your own fear can take away the sting sometimes. And also it allows you to figure out what fear you need to really go into in your own life. Now that I know this is what's really going on and this is what I'm really afraid of, I can take that to my therapist, to my coach, to my best friend, and talk through it. If you realize that this is a boundary issue, you need to figure out what you need to do to really draw the line for yourself. Even though we feel like other people make us feel a certain way, they actually don't. You feel a certain way because you're making it mean something. You're tolerating something. You have a lot more control over how you feel than you think you do, which took me quite a long time to realize in my own life. So if it's an issue of a boundary, you need to be really clear. Do I want to be doing this? Do I need to be saying no? Do I need to be drawing the line with this person and saying, please don't come to me in my office and keep complaining about this issue. I don't want to speak to you about it anymore. Or no, I can't help you with your children this week. Get really clear about what's the truth. What's the truth about the behavior that you're choosing to tolerate that you actually don't want to be tolerating? And it's important that you do that because it allows you to take control back. Anytime we feel like this person's making me feel a certain way, the power is in their hands, and we've kind of lost our ability to control what it is that's happening in our own world. So when you really own it and say, is there something that I'm afraid of that this is really triggering in me? Or is there something I'm tolerating that I don't want to? And you create boundaries. You give them clear and loving no's when it's supposed to be a no for you. You take back control. It allows you to not be so triggered by the other person. So I encourage you to look into your own life and see, is there somewhere where I'm being triggered? Am I tolerating something I don't want to tolerate? Am I afraid of something that I'm not being honest with myself about? I'm going to talk to you again about boundaries because I know this issue comes up for a lot of people, and a lot of people ask me questions about that. So stay tuned for the next video podcast on that. In the meantime, if you want to ask me any questions or you have any concerns that you want me to address, please feel free to email me at erinstronglife@gmail.com, or you can contact me through my website at erinmfoley.com, where you can learn more about me and how to work with me. In the meantime, I hope you have a million strong moments.